Good evening and welcome to the Channel Studios here in London with your international news around the world in 5. Iran's foreign minister says the Strait of Hormuz is completely open to commercial ships for the remainder of the ceasefire. In line with the ceasefire in Lebanon, the passage of all commercial vessels through the Strait of Hormuz is declared completely open for the remainder of the ceasefire, he wrote. Oil prices dropped after Iran's announcement. The confirmation came as the UK and France hosted a meeting with dozens of other countries to discuss freedom of navigation in the Strait. Earlier, a 10-day ceasefire between Israel and Lebanon began, with celebrations and fireworks in Beirut. The youngest son of Zimbabwe's late former leader, Robert Mugabe, has pleaded guilty to pointing a firearm and illegally being in South Africa. Bellarmine Mugabe entered guilty pleas to the two charges after he was arrested in February following the shooting of a 23-year-old man at his home in Johannesburg. The 28-year-old has been held in custody alongside his co-accused and appeared at the court in Alexandra on Friday. Lawyers for the men told the court they were prepared to return to their native Zimbabwe at their own expense if they do not receive a custodial sentence. The Duke and Duchess of Sussex have spoken to survivors and emergency responders from the Bondi Beach shooting on the fourth day of their visit to Australia. Volunteer lifeguards and community leaders met the couple at the beach in Sydney, where 15 people were killed and 40 injured at a Hanukkah event in December. The couple have been visiting eastern Australian cities, including Canberra and Melbourne. Prince Harry and Meghan arrived at Bondi Surf Bathers Life-Saving Club on Friday, where they spoke to parents who both survived the shootings while shielding their children. The 4 astronauts of Artemis 2 say their mission gave the world a sense of hope and unity at a time when both feel in short supply. At their first NASA news conference since returning last Friday, Reed Wiseman, Victor Glover, Christina Cook and Jeremy Hansen said they left as friends and came back as something closer, bound by an experience that no earthly language can fully contain.
We were 250,000 miles away from our home planet. We saw the far side of the moon. We saw the sun go behind the moon and create this unbelievable eclipse with a halo. At that moment, I turned to Victor in the spacecraft and I said, I don't think the human mind has evolved to the point of being able to understand what we are looking at, and he fully agreed. We were living in such close quarters that we would I would say crawl all over each other, but we would utilize each other as a single entity to get the job done at all times. And then we would just hand the baton across. Whoever had the operational lead would take it, they would run with it, and then we would come back together as a crew. It was the most fluid and well-supported thing you could ever imagine.
Well, re-entry is the most spectacular part of any human spaceflight. It is truly, in every way, coming back to a plane. It is not landing a plane. Windows on Orion and Integrity did not char over. We watched the entire re-entry, and it was spectacular. The plasma ball that we were inside of got as bright as an arc welder to the point where you couldn't even look at it. We were rumbling, we were feeling the G's, we were hearing it in each other's voices, and just trying to take in every single sight, every sound, every sense to be able to carry it back to Earth with us, because what it taught us is about ourselves. Nothing is more precious than human life, and we all feel that.
Rescuers plan to use air cushions in their latest attempt to free a humpback whale that has been stranded off Germany's northern coast for weeks. The whale, nicknamed Timmy by local media, was first spotted in the Baltic Sea, far from its natural habitat at the beginning of March, and is currently stuck in a shallow coastal area off the island of Pole. A private company plans to refloat the injured mammal from the sea floor by its flippers and onto a tarp attached to a tugboat. And Nakegu, the 2-year-old wolf who broke loose from a South Korean zoo and captured the nation's attention, has finally been captured following a 9-day-long search. Nakegu was captured near an expressway on Friday, according to the zoo he escaped from. Authorities said upon a medical examination, Nakegu's pulse and body temperature were normal. And that's your international news around the world in 5. Now back to the Channel Studios in Lagos.